Vuelve la ciencia ficción con mayúsculas este otoño a Apple TV Plus con la temporada 2 de Silo, la serie que adapta las novelas de Hugh Howey y que se parece un poquito a Fallout, pero con un rollito más a lo Juego de Tronos con las puñaladas traperas que con Nuca-Colas fresquitas. La serie protagonizada por Rebecca Ferguson reanuda la marcha el próximo viernes 15 de noviembre y aunque con ella no hemos podido charlar, sí hemos podido hacerlo con Graham Yost, el creador de Silo, y con varios de sus protagonistas, incluido el legendario Tim Robbins. Vamos a ver qué nos ha contado.
So I did a lot of thinking about power and what I have observed in people of power throughout history and their proclivity towards controlling information, controlling rebellion by censorship, by intimidation, the kind of all those things that we look at in history and say those are bad people. All of those people didn't think they were bad. They thought they were virtuous. They thought they were doing things for the greater good. However difficult their jobs were, they all have to justify and rationalize in their own heads that they're the good guy. It's impossible to live as the bad guy. And so everyone tells themselves they're virtuous and that this is, I know it's a difficult job that I have to do, and the sacrifices I have to make by doing this illegal act or this murder or this elimination of this way of thinking, it's necessary for our survival. And that for me is fascinating. That's always been like, how do those people do it? How do you rationalize illegality like that? And on top of that, not just rationalizing it, but making it virtuous. That's for me fascinating.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, Sims, I'm still like seeking to be empowered, but I want to be empowered because I believe I know what's good for the silo. So this is not just a like selfish way, though some of it is like, I identify with the work that I've done, and this is something that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. That's what Sims, that's who Sims is. But this season 2, he's very, very challenged in ways where the things that he thinks is right and working for Bernard is, and taking orders from Bernard is not always sitting right with him. So he's somewhat like, he's not standing on his throne in the way that you saw him in season 1. And, he's lucky to have his wife, who is somebody who is like a confidant, a person he shares a lot of thoughts with and gets information, but is also working alongside with him in ways to move forward. You get to see another side of Sims as far as just being a family man and also the cracks in the armor, as they say. You see some of the things that's just human about him. And it's I love this season. And it's a lot going on outside of Sims that, is causing Sims some angst too.
Yeah, she goes on a huge journey. She's full of rage and frustration and grief to start with, and she is completely set on how she is going to basically get on with things and deal with it and find some answers. And she doesn't like the thought of being delayed in any way. However, she does eventually start to see, with Knox's help, that approaching things, well, their strengths come together and they find this beautiful middle ground of how to tackle things constructively. And, they really have to fight to get their voices heard. Like you mentioned, the upper and the mids. It's a different world. And by working together is the only way to survive, really.
I mean, it was
Loved it.
we loved it. We loved it. It was great. It was great. I think that we really physically were exhausted at the end of some days. You see some of the times that our characters seem exhausted. That's actually not acting. That's us being really exhausted. It was thrilling, though. I think every day we'd look at each other and just say, "What? Can you believe we get to do this? We get to, I don't want to give anything away, but it was very cool."
And you don't always shoot in sequence, so we really had to work together all the time. We'd be messaging late into the evening, thinking of what we're plotting ahead tomorrow, and making sure that definitely the arc of the energy was in the right place for charging up and down those stairs.
Well, yeah, I mean, for survival reasons, we both have different agendas, but because we build a relationship together, we have to come to a consensus, right? And I end up helping her. She ends up helping me. It's our goals, we find, are somewhat similar, and I have to get past my trauma. I have to get past a lot of things that are the anchor I have in life is this past that I have to deal with. And so that's a big thing for my character to get over it and get past so that I can get to a point where I can help out and be a friend.
So, I mean, I have an answer, and Hugh had an answer. I will say this: there is an answer. I will also say that it's possible that it becomes an important part of the storytelling. The actual answer is not that dramatic, but it makes sense. It's not like, some weird secret. It's just, basically, it's kind of part of it is that the silo designers thought, with stairs, people are going to have to stay fit. That's part of it. There's other deeper sort of political reasons in a way by keeping people separate because you don't want to climb 100 levels. It's pretty brutal. There may be some sort of social engineering stuff going on as well. First of all, as I always say about Fallout, I have to root for a show that has Walton Goggins in it, because Walton and I worked together for 6 years on Justified, and he's a dear friend and one of the best actors I've ever worked with. So I hope it works because I love Walton. I think that one of the similarities is there's a sense in both shows something happened and we haven't been told the truth. And I think very different sensibilities. Fallout, my son played when it came out as a video game, and he kept on saying, "Dad, you got to see this," because it had such a interesting sort of pop, futuro, retro feeling to it, and the design is borne out in their show. We're a different thing. We're much more of a grounded story about these people's lives, and they're trying to fight an oppressive dictatorship, basically. But it's interesting that both, would be coming on roughly around the same time. We came on first, but the video game happened before Hugh wrote the books. He didn't play that game, but he'd heard about it. So it's all part of the culture.
Si te pica el gusanillo por saber qué misterios deparan más allá de las puertas del silo, recuerda que esta temporada 2 arranca este viernes 15 de noviembre en Apple TV Plus, con muchas sorpresas en camino de las que te contaremos todo muy prontito en Hobbycine. ¡Nos vemos!